Good morning, everyone. I Please, if you can hear me, kindly, if you can hear and see my screen, kindly type in a hi in the comment section below. A hi in the comment section below, and I shall hold on to see response before I proceed. Oh, great. Thank you for the confirmation, Carrie. Yes, I Rohit Shamat. Good morning to you. Hi, Dowen. Don Wayne. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Annie, good. Hi, good morning to you. So, first of all, I would like to welcome you to yet another morning session where we will be deliberating on the pairs we talked about yesterday. And what we are going to be doing today is to look at these pairs and how well they have performed over the last 24 hours. After which we would shed more light on those pairs and look at what development has happened, and then we can um, decide what we need to do going forward. So, oh, it's evening there. Good evening. It's morning here. So on that note, I would like to switch on my chat and let's dive in to see what has been happening in the market in the last 24 hours. So as usual, we are going to start with the UK oil, and moving on to the UK oil, we saw the UK oil that prices continue to respect that bearish bias we anticipated on, was it on Tuesday? Yes, and we saw that move, we saw the signal, we saw the confirmation, and price moved um, to the downside. And then price came back into this area where I'd made mention of an opportunity at this point, a bearish opportunity at this point for those who are already in the trade. And if we look closely into what happened on lower time frame, that is on the 15 minutes time frame, during the course of yesterday, we identified this channel, and I suggested that we should be expecting a breakdown of the channel and a retest into structure, the signals that confirmed a trend continuation to the downside. So we saw the breakdown. That was a signal that we are still going to go bearish, and then we saw price went back as far as $119 before we started seeing bearish momentum that pushed price further down. So if you had followed this idea accordingly, you will definitely be having two positions running on this trade. And what we have right now is that prices moved significantly well in about, let's check that out, with about over 500 pips running. That's the first position we took on Tuesday, and the second position is running around over 350 pips. So making a total of 800, over close to 900 pips on the UK oil. So our take profit target still remains at 1112. However, if we look at what has been happening in the last 9 hours, we will notice that price has rejected the $113 area. So on from a technical perspective, we will be seeing this area as a potential demand zone that could probably push price further up. And coming from the fundamentals, if you're following the news, we have come to observe that it appears that the US UK oil, the oil prices might continue to go higher, considering the fact that the OPEC are insisting that they will not increase production, as you all know that the increase in price of the oil commodity also favors the Emirates as well. So I'm of the opinion that we might be uh, that the bearish momentum we've seen in the last couple of days could probably be a retracement of that impulse leg, of that bullish momentum we've identified earlier, sometimes 2 weeks earlier in the month, I guess. So if we go up to the daily time frame, sorry, to the 4 hours time frame, we would want to look at how structure has been playing out so far and what our expectations will be on the UK oil going forward. So if you allow me, let's have a clear chart on this one and let's see how price is playing at the moment. Then we can now um, determine what we will do going into the New York session. So for those who took advantage of the selling opportunity we identified here yesterday, I will suggest that you move your stop loss accordingly to probably take some profits and or probably leave the trade outrightly, because if you are taking two position already, you are close to around 900 pips in profit on this pair, which is I think a good a good portfolio for the week. So now let's see what is happening on a higher time frame and let's make a decision in that regard. So on the higher time frames, we still have our supply zone identified at around $116, and we can see that price has continued to respect that area since sometime in April. Price rejected, then we had one in May, and we had another rejection mid-May before we saw that significant breakout of that supply zone, giving us an impression that we might be going further high going into the new week or the new month. Now, price appears to have done a retracement right back into that first temporary bullish trend line we identified here, the dotted black line you can see on your screen. And then there is a possibility that price could go further down to retest the major bearish trend line we identified here on the daily time frame, after which we will be looking for potentials for bullish momentum going forward. So with the information we have here on the daily time frame, we want to scale down to, let's say, the 4 hours time frame to see if there are expectations we have here going into the New York session. So if we look at structures going left and look at what has been happening since the 20th of May, I guess, we will notice that there seems to be a demand structure around $112 area, where price has rejected in the past the multiple times. If you can see with the visual representation of my arrow, you can see that price have been respecting that trend line, and even in fact that demand zone was very responsible for that upsurge in price that took price to around $124 before we saw that retracement move. Now at this point, we want to be waiting for the culmination of this retracement move. And where will this retracement culminate? When will it end? We don't know. But the only clue we can actually use to guide our action is that we will be waiting for the retracement to probably end at around our golden zone area, which is, as you all know, is between 50 and 78.6% retracement of the previous impulse leg. And if we look at what structure have here on the 4 hours time frame, we have our impulse leg around this area. We have that impulse leg here before we saw that retracement phase. Then to be more specific, we bring out our retracement tool and run it through that impulse leg to identify where our 50 and 78.6% retracement shall be. So if we do that, what we're going to be finding is around this area, around between $114, $115, and $110 will be an area we could be looking forward to buying opportunities going into the New York session. So allow me to give this a yellow so that I always like my buy opportunity zone to be a little bit light so that we can have so this is what our expectations will be going into the New York session. And I'm not sure if this formation will happen during today's New York session, or probably it's going to happen tomorrow. However, I want to explain to us what we should be our expectation going forward. From this juncture in the market, we've seen that price have done a retracement into this area, and like I said, we are still waiting to see how if the retracement phase has ended or not. So to confirm that the retracement has ended, we need to see price do a reversal pattern in the form of probably a double bottom structure within this zone area, an inverse head and shoulder, 1, 2, 3 reversal pattern, or a rising wedge, whatever reversal pattern that comes to mind or that surfaces. Then we want to be looking for a breakout of that structure within this area for a signal, then a confirmation at a retest of structure to join the potential rally going forward. So what we want to be looking out for at this area is a structure that looks more like this. We want to look for reversal patterns within this area, a breakout of structure, and then a retest into structure to confirm the trend continuation to the upside. And with this information being said, it is very likely that this will take multiple hours. We might be talking about at least a minimum of 4 hours thereabout. That's just a suggestion. We never can tell how price is going to play out in the next couple of hours. But roughly, from my own experience, it could take probably around between 4 and 8 hours minimum to actually do that formation right here on the 4 hours time frame. So that is what I'm expecting going the new into the new month, a New York session. Okay, hi Max, good morning to you. Roy Shamat says he's from India. Namaste. Abujek, shalom, peace to you too as well. Ting, hi, how are you today? Dre, hi. Oh, that name looks familiar. Lua Femi. My Nigerian guy. Good to have you around from Nigeria. Good morning to everybody. Oh, Papa, good morning. Oluwafemi, oil, please. Of course, we are dealing with oil at the moment. I think you're talking about US oil, I guess. We are going to dive into US oil as soon as we finish our speculation here on UK oil. I Namaskar. Okay. Good morning. Kotiana, hello, good morning to you. I'm glad to have you around. Oh, I see. Oluwafemi, glad to know. How is Valencia today? And how's the weather like? I'm pleased to have you around. Okay, so I think we need to move on from here. I don't know if you have any questions in this based on what I just discussed so far. Do you have any questions? Do you have any additions you might want to put into this? Speedy, good morning. Oluwafemi, yeah, I miss my country for real. Oh, sure, I understand. Sure, I understand. Okay, from Nepal, from Nepal, namaste. Okay, so let's continue with what we have here on the chat. Same here, Oluwafemi. I'm glad to have you around too. Mammoth, good morning. Hi, how are you? Kifa Peps, hello to you too. Good morning. So, moving on, we go to the 1 hour time frame on this one, and let's see how price has been playing out so far in the last 10 hours. Like I said earlier, price appears to be doing what looks more like a double bottom structure at this point. Well, we don't know if this double bottom structure will actually hold, but if it does, then we want to be looking forward to a breakout of structure. Let me make this more clear. So, like I said, remember we identified this buy opportunity zone around this area between 110 and $115. And we have a structure that looks more like a double bottom structure right within between 50 and 618 retracement of the impulse leg we identified on the daily time frame. So with if we have a breakdown of this area at 113, we have a breakdown of this area, then we want to hold on a little further to see how a reversal pattern will form within this buy opportunity zone, after which we take advantage of that bullish momentum. However, if price does not go that far, that is, price does not break down 112 $112.80 area, then we want to have this as a double bottom structure. And if you the last time I checked, the double bottom structure is a very strong reversal pattern we can actually use to take advantage of any bullish momentum coming up. So if we bring out our line chart at this point and want to identify a neckline around this area, we will have something like this. We'll have something that looks more like this. And let's give this a purple, I guess. Okay, great. Oh, sorry. So we will be having a neckline right at 114. Allow me to label this for the sake of clarity. Neckline at $114.75. So let's place that right at the top. Make this purple. Okay, good. So we have a neckline around here. So what I'm saying here is this: if price does not break down this, if price does not break down this area, we want to see a spike that breaks above that neckline, which will give us a signal. Then we want to be looking forward for confirmation in the form of a retest of structure, after which we look for patterns on lower time frame that supports a trend continuation. Then we can join the potential rally to the upside. So what this simply means is that if price does break above 114.75 dollars, then we want to be looking for entry point right above this area, that is after confirmation has been met. So then we will definitely be having a scenario that looks more like this. We have our entry point around here. Please mind you, after confirmation has been met. So we will be looking for a stop loss around this area for the meantime. Then a take profit target at sincerely, we already meet 120 already, and for the meantime I will suggest that we still go for 120 at the moment. But on a long-term perspective, which I'm not sure price will go thus far, is to extend the previous impulse leg And if we want to do that, if we go to the daily time frame and look at that impulse leg, this is the impulse leg we're talking about here on the daily time frame. We have the impulse leg here, and if we want to extend the impulse leg, we run our Fibonacci extension tool right along the leg. Then we will have something that looks more like this, with a aim at 127.2% extension of the impulse leg. So on a long-term perspective, we are looking at around $130 as a take profit target. That's on a long-term perspective. Give me a moment. Let me give this. So we have potential TP target. So we are not yet sure if price will go that far, but as we follow price, if price continue to move further, we'll continue to follow it. And if structure supports further momentum to the upside, then we'll continue to add more position as we guide our price, as we guide price to that TP target at around 130 area. But for the meantime, like I said, let's aim at $120 at least for now. Price has gone to $120 before, and if we look left, we can see that we have structures that have supported selling opportunities at this area in the past. If you look left, you can see this. We can see price has been rejected at this area at one point in time. You can see we had a rejection of this area, we had a rejection of this area, and we had a rejection at this area. So more reason why I said we should hold on $120 as our TP target for now. And if we do have a breakout of that area, then a retest into structure could welcome further position in this trade. So this is my expectation on the UK oil in general. And if I do a quick recap on that, I said if price breaks down that area at 112.8, then we want to hold on to see how to look out for a reversal pattern within this buy opportunity zone to take advantage of that bullish momentum. However, if we do have a breakout of neckline, then we want to be taking advantage of a trade right above the neckline, that is after a retest of structure has happened. So on this note, we close for the UK oil. One more time, I'm going to ask if we do have questions or clarifications. I live in Fogo Island, the volcanic island. Okay, Volcano Island. Sincerely, I don't. That's my first time hearing of that location. But you're welcome here. All right, Oluwafemi, I heard you. That is noted. Okay, okay, Oluwafemi, that's noted. So moving on. Let's quickly run through the US oil and let's see what's happening on US oil. So moving on. So on the US oil, we first of all, we took a trade on the US oil last week, which we took take profit at $120, and we can see that as soon as price got to $120, we saw price do a retracement that looks like this down to the downside. So for the sake of clarity, during the course of yesterday, we saw a pattern around this area. We saw something that looks like a double bottom structure around this area yesterday, and which also shares a confluence with the breakout, with the retest of the breakout of structure we identified earlier. And then we saw something like this. Then I was saying that if price breaks above, then we should be looking for an opportunity at this buy opportunity zone. During the course of yesterday, it actually happened. Price moved above, then we saw price come back down to our entry point to take us out at entry level. Remember I told you yesterday that considering the bearish momentum we've been saying so far, that as soon as price move further up, that we should move our stop loss to break even to guide a risk of further decline, to guide ourselves against the risk of further decline. If you had moved your stop loss accordingly, kudos to you. However, if you are taking out well, you're still profitable on the US oil, as we were able to gather around over 900 pips on this trade earlier this week. At least on Monday, we closed with around 930 pips profit on this one. And if you are losing 64 pips in that to that, then I think it's still it does still make sense. So, for the sake of clarity, I would like to remove all the structures on all these drawings on the chart so that we can have a fresh look at what is happening at the moment. Then we can actually make a decision in that regard. So, this is what we have here now. Sorry, give me a moment, please. So we have so let me delete this. We took this one last week. So delete this one. And then, so the first thing I would like to say here is that our key levels still remain at $111.50. We still have that key level holding at around that area. So let me extend the key level out a little bit. And remember, like, always make mention that the key level is always there to guide our actions. A break below key level means that we will be going bearish, and a break above, a rejection of that key level means that we will be going bullish. So we have our bullish trend line here, and if we look closely into what the structure is right now, you can see that we have a much similar scenario with that which we had on the UK oil, but with a little bit nuance that we would want to decipher at this point. So let's go to a daily time frame. Let us see what is happening. Let's begin from the daily time frame. So on the daily time frame, it is established that we are on a long-term bullish momentum, as you can see with the green trend line. As price continue to respect that trend line, price continue to find higher highs and higher lows, going into we can see, though the traction is a little bit reduced on the US oil. So let's scale down to the 4 hours time frame. So on the 4 hours time frame, we do have this impulse leg from this area. The demand zone around this area was responsible for that impulse leg that began sometime, I think 2 weeks ago. Is it 2 weeks ago? Hold on a second, please. On the 25th of May, we had that impulse leg begin. So that's the impulse leg there. And since price tested $120, we saw structures that looks more like a retracement phase that sent price crashing down into around $112. So price is still yet to come into that key level, but we saw something that looks like a sharp rejection of that area during the early hours of today. So now, what are we going to do? How are we going to take advantage of any potential lining up for us going into the New York session? So with the impulse leg identified here, we want to know if this retracement phase has ended or not. And how do we do that? The only way we will do that is to identify a golden zone area where we will be looking out for a reversal pattern to take advantage of a potential bullish momentum going forward. So if we bring out our retracement tool and run it through the impulse leg we have identified here, then we will be having somewhere around, hold on a second, between the 50 and the 78.6% retracement for our buy opportunity. So if you allow me to label this for the sake of clarity, I'll just do that real quick. Buying opportunity around this area. So like we said on the US oil, on the UK oil rather, we want to be looking for structures that supports a trend continuation around this area. However, if we look closely into this pattern we saw here, we have something like this. This is a key trend line. I want us to use this as a key trend line. This is a key trend line. So price is right below that trend line. And now what we want to be looking forward to is this. If we are going to be going bullish on this one, then definitely we want to see a reversal pattern that would definitely break above that trend line. Then we look for structures, we look for signal, breakout of structure, a retest of structure, then we join the potential to the upside. However, if price continue to remain below this bearish trend line, then we should be looking forward to selling opportunities in the form of a breakdown of that key level going into the New York session. So if we look closely into the structure, we could see that there is a possibility that price could break down into, hold on a second, we have this bearish trend line, this red bearish trend line. We see that price broke out of that trend line on the 26th of May here. We saw the breakout of that trend line. And most times when a trend line is broken, we normally see a retracement, a retest of the trend line before price finally moves to the upside. Oh, sorry, hold on a second. I'm beginning to see something else at this point. Please give me a moment, please. Okay. Now, what I'm seeing here is this. What I just saw here now is this. I am of the opinion that the impulse leg actually started from here. Because if we look closely, we see that the bearish trend line, if we bring out our line chart at this point, we see that the bearish trend line started, the bullish trend line rather, started from around here. I don't know how I missed that. My bad, please. I'm sorry about that, please. So we have the bullish trend line here. We can see closely that price has been respecting. We saw it respected the trend line here, rejected the trend line here. Then we had it respect the trend line here, and afterwards price has come back into that area at this point. So this is what we have here again. So the bullish trend line, the impulse leg starts from this area. I'm so sorry about the misconception I portrayed earlier. So we have the impulse leg starting from here. So we want to be looking for a retracement into the golden zone area of that impulse leg. So we will be having something like this. If we bring our retracement tool, then run it through that impulse leg, then we will be having our golden zone right around, between 50 and 78.6% retracement of that previous impulse leg. So this is what we'll be having. So our buy opportunity zone falls within $108 and $112. So and if we look closely into what has happened, what's happening and the structure that is giving us here, we can see that the buy opportunity zone is almost close to this thick red trend line, where I'm thinking there could be a sharp rejection of that trend line that will send price spiraling up to the upside. So on the US oil, I would suggest that we will remain very, very patient, as there is a possibility that price could break down, continue to respect this, break down of this bullish trend line, break down the key level. Then if we do see a breakdown of the key level and a retest of that trend line, then personally, if you are going to do a counter trend trade, then you will be using a lower time frame to do that. But for me, I'm a long-term trader, and if we see a retest of that key level, then you might want to be taking advantage of an opportunity that could probably test this area before we push up. But my advice personally is that we just hold on and let us see a reversal pattern form within this area before we can take advantage of that bullish momentum. So if we do that, we should be having a long-term perspective of, let me see, hold on. If we run our extension tool through the impulse leg, we should be having a profit target at around $125. So if we do that closely, we have something around this area. So we have a potential TP target, potential TP targets around this area. So so we have a potential TP target around this area, which is around from above 115 area to that area is around 1,300 pips approximately. So, but for the meantime, if for the meantime we could use $120 as the first TP target going forward. That's after the reversal pattern happens. So I want to ask this question. Is anybody out there that wants to take counter trend opportunities? If there is, then maybe we should scale down to a lower time frame and see how we can take advantage of that. Is there anybody here that wants to take counter trade opportunities, please? I'm helping you already. At least I'm giving you ideas. Just follow my instruction. Be patient. Become um, work on your compulsions and just listen attentively. Definitely, you will get the point here. Don't be in a hurry. Take your time. You can listen for a week before you start making decisions. Just take your time. That's my advice. Hello, Khan. Good morning. Here you are again. BTC USD. Okay, we'll look at it. BTC USD. We'll look at it. So, is there anybody that wants to take a counter trend opportunity on the US oil? Absence means none. So I shouldn't look further, right? So we should just keep waiting for the bullish momentum to happen. All right. So let me just put the expectations here on the chart. We have this something around here. We have our take profit target right within $125 area. That's around 1,300 pips. Then we have our stop loss right below. And please mind you, this is after confirmation has been achieved. And then we can hop into the trade. So in the absence of no questions, I would like to move on to the next pair we talked about. We talked about the Euro CHF yesterday, where we were actually in profits as at the time we were discussing this pair yesterday. And the first thing I said was that we should move our stop loss to break even on the Euro CHF. And unfortunately, price move all the way down to our entry points, taking us out at break even level. So right now on the Euro CHF, price has finally broken down of that bullish trend line we identified earlier, and we don't know what's going to happen next, as the breakdown of that bullish trend line is giving us a clue that we might be having a bearish continuation going into the New York session. However, we cannot just conclude that that's going to be the situation, especially when we have a strong demand zone that has been holding in the past around 1.02 450 area since on the 19th of May. This area has been holding price action supported for a while. As we can see, as soon as price comes into the area, we see sharp rejection of price by buyers as buyers push price up. However, remember I told you yesterday that we had this bearish trend line as well. we had this bearish trend line, which has, if you connect the series of lower highs, we will see that price has also been respecting that bearish trend line in the last 2 to 3 weeks, which is also giving us a clue into a possibility that a bearish momentum could be unfolding before our highs. And I also made mention that for our bullish momentum to be really, really confirmed, we really need to see a significant breakout of that bearish trend line, which also shares a confluence with the key level at 1.03400, after which a retest of structure and an evolution into a reversal pattern could send price going further up. So if that does not happen, like I said, we just have one position running yesterday and things did not work as expected, as price has come back into our entry point, and we have something that looks more like this. So what I will be looking forward to going into the New York session is, I will advise that we remain patient, as we want to see structures that support bullish momentum to join this the potential rally, and we want to be looking at something that looks like a breakout of that bullish trend line, a retest. Then we see we can join. I just have one position here, and then if we see a breakout of that bearish trend line, then we want to add one more position at a retest of structure to join the trend continuation to the upside. But if that does not happen now, then we will be looking forward to holding on at this point. And then if we see significant breakdown of that bearish trend line, which has already happened, we want to see a retest of the trend line. We want to look for reversal patterns that will support a trend continuation to the downside. However, for me personally, it will be advisable that if we are going to be taking any selling opportunity on this one, it should be right below the demand zone. So for now, I will not be making any projection for any selling opportunities, as I want to see how price plays out for bullish momentum. And if we come back here tomorrow and we see price running right below the demand zone, then we could deliberate on how to take advantage of any selling opportunity that the market has for us tomorrow. I hope I'm clear on Euro CHF. So allow me to move on. We moved on to GBP JPY. On the GBP JPY, we are indeed very, very profitable. And as at yesterday, we were, how many pips in profit? Give me a moment, please. We were at about over 300 pips in profit yesterday on the GBP JPY. And I advise that we move our stop loss to 162.400 Japanese yen. And if you had done that, price will have taken you out by now. As you can see, price came into the stop loss zone around here, rejected it multiple times, and we saw that breakout of that structure. So immediately I saw this, I identified a demand zone around this area, because that 162.1 area has been holding price in the last 12 to 14 hours, has been holding that price, giving us something that looks like a reversal pattern at this point. And I was expecting that, told me a moment, have our line chart here, and we should be having somewhere around here. So I'm looking forward to a retest of structure to add one more position to this trade. So on the GDP JPY, hold on a second. Hold on a second. Sorry. Hold on a second, please. Now, we first of all, we saw this level. Price rejected this level very sharply. Once 3.315 area, rejected it sharply as we saw that shooting star, and then we saw multiple rejection of that area. And with that structure at this point in time, gives me a clue that this will be a reversal pattern forming right now. As we can see, the sharp weak rejection of that area sometime yesterday. And I'm of the opinion that price might probably want to be doing a retracement into this bullish trend line, after which a trend continuation will be confirmed. So we might be looking forward to price doing this, then after which we look for structure that supports a trend continuation to the upside. So personally, for me on this one, I will advise that we hold on. Sincerely, we hold on this one. The only reason why we'll hold on is because we're expecting bullish momentum on this one, and we don't want to get our fingers burnt, especially when we see a lower high at this point. So the only thing that will support a bullish momentum for me here is if we do have price come right above this area, then does a rejection, a retest of this key level around 1.62600 area, then I can say we can actually join that um, potential rally to the upside with a take profit target at 165 area, which is around 250 pips minimum. However, the possibility of price going down into one to the bullish trend line here is also very, 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 very possible. So the New York session might see a sharp decline in price action. So this could be as a result of those who took advantage of that bullish move are actually doing quick sales to make some profit on the positions they had taken advantage of earlier. So that is one perspective to this. So for me personally, if we see downtrend situation scenarios here going into the New York session, I would advise that we hold on and let's allow that momentum to play itself out. After which we look for a reversal pattern that gives us signs that the retracement has actually ended. So, and then if you are a counter trend trader, it could be an opportunity for you to take advantage of how many pips is that? Let's look at it together. Right below this area to that's around the minimum of 100 pips. For me, that is too small, and I'll just hold on GDP Jpy. And if price continue down, I'll just hold on and wait for a trend continue opportunity for a trend continuation going into the new month. So tomorrow we'll look at this together again and let's see how we can take advantage of whatever opportunity the market has for us. Hi, Nico D from Latvia. You're welcome here. I'm glad to have you around. Good afternoon, 164233359. I don't know your name, but that's what's giving me here. Good afternoon to you. Say thanks. Okay, you're welcome. All right. So moving on, that's my expectation on the GBP JPY. So patience is hereby required at this point. AUD JPY, we took this trade on Monday and we already, how many pips in profit now? We already around 250, 240 pips in profit. So at this point in time, the first thing I will say at this point in time is that we move our stop loss close to to the price that is around this area. If we look left, we can see that we have a structure around here, we have a structure around here. So I want to be using that for our yardstick going into the New York session. So for me personally, I advise that we move our stop loss to 93 Japanese yen, right above 93 Japanese yen. So let's put our stop loss here, make it red. Okay, so we have our stop loss right there. So if we have our stop loss right there, how many pips is that? We have around 190 pips thereabout. And then if price continues to the upside as expected, then good for us. However, on the contrary, considering that we have a long-term bullish momentum on this one, we have a bullish trend line here. Hold on a second. Let me make this thicker so that we can see it. So we have a bullish trend line here. This can be seen on your chart with that green thick line that runs across, that connects the lower lows, lower highs, higher lows. And we still have our key level right at 91 Japanese yen. We're still holding. So one thing I want to also be looking out for going to the New York session, that is this. There is a possibility that price could break down where I told us to put our stop loss. We could have price break down this level, and if price breaks down that level, then that's a signal that we might be having we might be experiencing the beginning of a retracement wave, which could happen after a retracement into a retest of structure then patterns that support a trend continuation to the downside that will probably test that bullish trend line, after which we look for structures to support a trend continuation to the upside. So if you are a counter trend trader, this is quite a good opportunity to take advantage of a counter trend opportunity. At least this can give you around at least a minimum of 150 pips thereabout. So if you are taking a counter trend opportunity, you want to wait for price to break down that area. We'll look for a retest of structure, then we'll look for patterns that support a trend continuation. And if I want to, I want to remind you again, when we are looking for patterns that support trend continuation, like I always say, it's always advisable that we look for this on a lower time frame so that you don't miss out on that move when it finally happens. So you can scale down to, let's say, the 5 minutes, the 10 minutes time frame to look for these patterns to join that move to the downside. So we'll look for opportunities where price come back down to this area, then we'll now be looking for that potential to the upside from this area. However, if price continues to the upside, then remember our stop loss still around here. Our take profit target rather is still around this area, between 94 Japanese yen and 93.5 Japanese yen. So let's that continue to flow accordingly. And if we have a breakdown of that line, then we want to be taking a counter trend opportunity. That's if you're a counter trend trader. So where would our entry point be? Right below that level. That is after the formation of after the confirmation has been formed. Then we have entry point right here. We have our take profit target at our entry point, initial entry point area. Then stop loss right above the key level at around 30 pips max, 30 pips, 25 pips max, and we aim at around 180 pips. So this is my perspective here on the AUD USD. Calavis from Algeria, good morning to you. You're welcome on board. I do hope you will have a nice moment here. Just take your time out and listen attentively, then you get to understand how this works. So you're welcome once again. Akram John, hello, good morning to you. So that is that. So moving on to USD JPY. USD JPY, we took profit long time ago. We took profit 2 days ago, and we took profit at 129 Japanese yen. That's around 180 pips. And I said we want to see how price plays out going into the New York session. And as we can see, price continue to find higher highs, and price continued to until it peaked at 130.240 Japanese yen during the early hours of today, and it appears we begin to see a reversal pattern unfolding before our highs. So what I would be suggesting at this point, give me a moment, let me delete all this so that we can have a clean slate to we have all this, okay. So we had the channel that was broken out of the early part of this week. The channel was broken out of here. We broke out of the channel here, and we quickly took advantage of that move to the upside after we saw a retest of structure around that area. So now price appears to be doing a retracement. Let's go to the daily time frame and let's see what is happening on the daily time frame so that we can have a little perspective into possibilities we have in here. So the first thing you'll notice on the daily time frame is that we have been on a long-term bullish momentum which has lasted over 3 months now. And as you can see, we can see the move that started in March, the early days of March. We saw this move that spiked up and hit 131.400 area before we started seeing moves to the downside. So now what we have in here is this: we might be having another opportunity to sell to the downside. Remember that after every impulse leg, there is always a retracement phase. And that's the reason why I identified this buy opportunity zone on Monday. If you remember, I was saying that there is a possibility that price could probably retrace into that golden zone area where we could see structures that support a trend continuation to the upside. However, we saw the breakout of that um, of that channel. As you know, market does not always play out as expected. So that's why we always try as much as possible to have two scenarios on one trade, so that when price does not do as expected and does the contrary, we're already ready and anticipated it while we are doing our planning. So we took advantage of that breakout of structure. We saw the retest of structure on the 15 minutes time frame, I guess. Then we moved to the upside on this one. So now it appears today has started. We're beginning to see selling pressures from this area, and if we look left, we can see that that area has a memory for selling opportunities. As you can see, if we go to the past, we can see that this area has been doing. Give me my line chart, please. Okay, great. So we have selling opportunities around this area, you can see, and there is a possibility that price could we could experience a huge selling momentum from this point. So what I will be suggesting at this point is this: sorry, we want to wait out and look for signals that would incite that selling move on. So with the information we have here on the daily time frame, so it's appropriate that we have a key level as well that will guide any selling momentum going forward. So if I bring out my line chart on the daily time frame, then we have somewhere around here as, okay, give me a moment. Okay, 129 area. 129, yes, 129 is more precise here. So let's put our key level here at 129, and the key level here will be deleted as we no longer need that for now. So we have a key level here at 129. So if we do have a breakdown of 129, then we want to be taking advantage of any selling momentum going forward. So remember I said this that area where price is right now has a potential for selling opportunity. And remember that we are at an area 131.400 area which price rejected earlier in the month of May. So what we'll be looking forward to now, let's scale down to the 4 hours time, to the 1 hour time frame. So we have our key level right here, and there is a possibility that price could come back into this key level, and then we could see a trend continuation to the upside. However, there's also a possibility that price could break down that key level. And for me personally, I'm thinking that if we look at this bullish trend line, this green trend line, it is possible that price might want to come down into that level. But I'm not sure if price will go that far anyway. But whatever happens, whatever happens with time, we would always flow accordingly. So personally, what I'll be looking forward to is if price breaks down the key level at 129 area, then we want to be selling at a retest of structure, and if you see patterns that support trend continuation, we could sell to this area. So for me personally, on the USD Jpy, I want us to remain patient. Let's keep watching how price plays out. We don't need to be nervous. We don't need to have that fear of missing out at all whatsoever. We're already profitable on this trade. We had a trade on Monday. We closed around 180 pips. So let's just calm down and let us see how price plays out in the next 5 hours. And remember, tomorrow is NFP, and that could also be a major determinant of what happens on this market. So we need to be very, very sensitive and careful on this one. So on this note, I'll move on to the next pair, the Euro New Zealand. We've been hustling around the Euro New Zealand for a while now, for over a week. We're still here to take advantage of any opportunity here on the Euro New Zealand. And remember what I said is that I'm expecting a bearish momentum on Euro New Zealand. And why have I said that? We are right under a supply zone, a very strong supply zone. When we go to the daily time frame, we will see that following the strong impulse leg here, we saw that strong bearish impulse leg now that moved price right into 1.56250 area, and then we saw price come back up into that supply zone in a move that looks more like a retracement phase. And then we have that double top structure. We had a breakdown of the bullish trend line. We had a bearish trend line being respected over the past 3 weeks, all structures are just supporting a bearish momentum. However, since the beginning of the week, we are yet to see that bearish move to happen. So remember we had two scenarios on the Euro New Zealand. The first scenario I had was that we will be expecting price to come into this trend line, reject this trend line, or probably go into the key level at 1.6600, where we'll be looking for reversal patterns. Then we look for breakout of structure, retest of structure to join the decline to the downside. So we had an entry point right at 1.65293 area, where I said after confirmation of a reversal pattern, then we could join the decline to the downside from that area. And on the contrary, we had another scenario where I said we had a neckline here at 1.6400, and I said we could be looking down forward to a breakdown of that neckline and then a retest of the neckline to join the decline to the downside. So now price has not done either of the two. So we're still hoping that price move as expected. Though we saw this move yesterday, we saw a rejection of that neckline, sorry, of that bearish trend line. Then I drew this structure around this area where I said if price breaks down that structure and does a retest of that structure, I want to enter a trade. So at this point, if you had entered a trade, it's all okay, it's all good. Just have your stop loss right above the structure around here. I actually missed this because I was not awake then, I was sleeping. So you can have your stop loss right above this area, and then you continue to guide action to the downside. But personally for me now at this point, I'm waiting for price to break down that neckline. And then if it breaks down our neckline in the form of an engulfing bearish candle, then we will be looking forward to a retest of structure. Remember, on a lower time frame, then we could join the decline to the downside. So on this one, our take profit target still remain at 1.59990, which if you are taking it from this area, that's like over 400 pips. And if we are taking it from the neck of the key level, that's over 500 pips potential target. So let's see how price plays out. Let's see how price plays out during the New York session, and let's see if this trade will be something we're going to take advantage of before the week runs out. So moving on, I think I'll have to talk about Jpy USD. We're already out of time. I'm already 20 minutes late. Gdp Usd I shared with you yesterday. I don't know if you took this trade. I took this trade massively. I think I took how many positions here? One, two, three, four, five. I took 5 positions on this trade. I entered here and I shared this position with you yesterday when price was doing a rejection of this trend line, and I said you could take advantage of that move at the breakdown of this bullish trend line. So we saw the breakdown of this bullish trend line here. We saw a retest of structure, and I took like 2 or 3 more trades afterwards, and price went massively down in our favor, and we scooped over 140 pips. I scooped over, I think, over 400 pips on this one because of the multiple entries I had on this pair. So GP USD has moved in our favor. If you are taking advantage of the opportunity, well done and kudos to you. I'm glad you did. However, if you are not taking, then I think we still have positions lining up again for us to take advantage of another wave of selling opportunity, especially when we're expecting the non-farm payroll to come up tomorrow. So personally, what I'll be looking forward to is we can see that we had this bearish trend line here, which I said will be our guide going into the New York session yesterday. And oh, I'm disconnected. Network. Okay. I'm sorry for the breaking transmission. I had a little glitch in my internet reception, which is back on now. So we had this bearish trend line which held price has been respecting this bearish trend line since yesterday. And going to the New York session yesterday, I told you to use this trend line as a guide, and price moved accordingly, respected it accordingly, and moved about 100 pips since during the New York session yesterday. So now personally, price is coming back into doing a retracement of that that bearish impulse leg, and we want to be looking for a retracement into our golden zone area. So allow me to delete all these ones, because for the sake of clarity, we're already taking advantage of this. So I'm deleting all these ones, and let's have a fresh new look on the GBP USD. So on the GBP USD now, I want to be seeing a retracement into our golden zone area. The impulse leg started around this area. So we want to be seeing a retracement into our 50 and 78.6% of the last impulse leg. So if we look at it closely, we have something like this. We have impulse leg right around this area. So let's give it selling opportunity, right? For the sake of clarity, let's have it right in between, inside it. Okay, so we have it at the center. Then I'll give this a yellow. So good, we're already good here. So now we have our selling opportunity right here. So I'm expecting that price will probably do a retest of this area, after which we see a trend continuation to the downside. However, we really need to be very, very patient on this one, as we want to be looking for a reversal pattern within this area to give us a signal. Then we look for confirmation in the form of a retest of structure to join the further decline to the downside. However, price might not go as far as that, as we can see that we have this bearish trend line that has been holding price action in the past. If we look left, if you we can see that price has been respecting that bearish trend line. You can see sharp rejections of that bearish trend line in the past. We can see since the beginning of the week, price has been respecting that bearish trend line. So there is a possibility that price could probably respect the trend line one more time around this area, and we see price go to the downside. So what we want to be looking out for, if price does not go into around 1.258, then we want to be looking for a rejection of this trend line, probably a reversal pattern, a wedge, a double top, whatever breakout of structure. Then we look for trend continuation to the downside. So one thing I want to be also be doing is to having our entry point right around this area, that is after the confirmation has been achieved. So if we have our entry points around this area, then we will be having our take profit target. Let's see where our take profit target is going to be. If we bring out our Fibonacci extension tool, then we extend this impulse leg. What are we going to have? With the intention of aiming at 127.2% of that impulse leg, then we will be having somewhere around 1.24200 area as our take profit target, which dovetails to about 130 pips thereabout. Yesterday we closed it about 141 pips. Then we still have another opportunity of 130 pips. So let's see how this plays out going into the New York session. So we have our stop loss right above this area. So what we are looking forward to, let me come again, is that we are looking for retest, either a retest of this trend line, where we look for structures or patterns on the lower time frame to support a trend continuation to the downside, or price could move as far as coming this far. Then we look for patterns that support a trend continuation to the downside. So whatever area it is, you adjust the entry points accordingly. This is just a default entry point at the moment. So whatever pattern happens around that area during the New York session will now determine where the entry point will actually going to be at this point. Now, another scenario before I close for the day is that if price breaks out of that trend line to the upside significantly, that we see strong bullish engulfing candles, then a retest of that structure could probably send price going to the upside. So I want us to have our mind on alert, on standby. Whatever scenario that comes up, we're already ready and we're already aware of so that we are not going to be caught in any surprises at this point. So on this note, I would like to call it a day. However, I don't know if I will do have time to do a quick recap on what we talked about so far. Let me see if I can do on a couple of commodities, then we can call it a day. So on the UK oil, I said price appears to be doing a reversal pattern around this area. but the reversal pattern cannot be confirmed if we don't see a breakout of this neckline at this point. And then I said if we see a breakdown of this trend line, then we want to be looking for buying opportunities around this area to take advantage of any bullish momentum with a take profit target for in the meantime at $120. Then on the US oil, we have our buy opportunity zone around this area between 108 and 1112 area, where we will be looking for buying opportunities on the US oil. Then on the Euro CHF, I said we should hold on Euro CHF and let's see how price plays out. Considering the fact that we are still on a demand zone, the possibility of a bullish momentum is still very, very possible, and we want to be looking for a breakout of that bullish trend line, retest to structure, then we'll be looking to take advantage of the upside. However, if any selling opportunity comes here, it would only be under this demand zone. And personally, for me, I'm not doing any sell on the Euro CHF unless I see structures that states otherwise. So on GBP JPY, I made mention of us moving our stop loss to this area, and we were taking out yesterday, and I noticed this reversal pattern here, but I said I will restrain myself from taking any bullish momentum unless I see a breakout of this 163.5 area, where we will be looking forward to a retest to take advantage of that bullish momentum. But if I don't break above this area before the retest, definitely we might be going bearish going into the New York session. And I advise those who like taking counter trend opportunity, it could be an opportunity for you to catch a quick 100 pips if price breaks down this if price breaks down this area, we do a retest, then you can actually take that trade. But personally, for me, I'm waiting for price to come back to this bullish trend line. Then I'll be looking for signs to take advantage of a bullish momentum. And the same thing, we also have the USD Jpy. I personally told you to move your stop loss to above 93 Japanese yen, after which I said the possibility of a breakdown of this level is very possible considering the structure that we have, the lower high we have. A breakdown retest of this area we could probably send price crashing to the downside. So we could, for counter trend traders, you have around 180 pips to catch if that counter trend happens. However, I said I'll be patient for long-term traders to wait for price to come back into the bullish trend line, where we'll be looking for opportunities to take advantage of a bullish momentum. So now moving on to USD JPY, we took advantage of USD JPY on Monday, and we took profit 2 days ago on the USD JPY, and I said we should remain patient on this one as we are waiting for a breakdown of the key level at 129 area and retest of structure to join a potential decline to the bullish trend line here, after which we'll be looking for bullish momentum going forward. Then on the Euro New Zealand, I made mention of the fact that we are still struggling to find that selling move. And we have two scenarios here on the GBP Euro New Zealand. The first scenario is entry points around this at key level. That's a reversal pattern there. We could enter, or we could wait for price to come break down this neckline, a retest of structure, then we can join the decline to the downside. So we have take profit targets to remain at 1.59990. Then the last one we talked about was GBP USD, where I said we should be looking for a reversal pattern around 125.600 area. Yes, to take advantage of a selling momentum, or probably a rejection of this red dotted trend line to take advantage of the selling opportunity with a take profit target at 1.24200, and that's around 130 pips thereabout. Also caution that if there is a significant breakout of this trend line, that is we see engulfing candles, then a rejection of this trend line will probably send price going to the upside. So we should be mindful of these scenarios here on the GBP USD. So on this note, I would like to call it a day. I don't know if there's anybody here who has questions or inquiries or anything whatsoever to make things simpler for him or herself. So in the absence of none, I wish you a wonderful day and best of luck during the New York session. So thank you for being with me, and do have a wonderful